Hello everyone, once again you all are welcome in this lecture series. This lecture is going to discuss the colonial exploitation in India, which means forms of colonial exploitation. Exploitation which takes place in the British rule in India. This is the part of Indian economy and a session second of the video series. Okay. As we all know that what is the exploitation. I think you all are aware about what is exploitation, what is the different type of exploitation prevailed in our society, and who is doing exploitation to who are the perpetrators, to whom exploitation have been done. We all are usually heard these words exploitation on day-to-day basis. Okay. Exploitation is not a new one. It is a historical context when the civilization have developed, exploitation have been started. Which type of exploitation? From those who have or those who have not, which means rich exploited the poor in the different capacity. It may be from wealth point of view, it may be from power point of view, may from maybe other form of exploitation. But I am here to discuss exploitation takes place of Indians during British India. Exploitation done by Britishers in India. Okay. In India, as we all know that colonial exploitation is long history spread over nearly 200 years. Why it is 200? Because usually we are considered Britishers ruled in India more than 200 years, but usually we are using 200 years as a baseline. It would be better to look at the forms of colonial exploitation in India and its consequences. Right. Exploitation of India, which was started initially in the form of trade, later on the form of exploitation were made through investment income in the form of dividend and profit, and through payment of cost of British administration in the form of home charges. These included salaries of British Army and civil officers, payment of pensions, furlough and other benefits, and also payment of interest on sterling debt. In short, exploitation were started in the form of trade. Britishers were came India to trade with us, with Indians. But they settled in India, they tried to exploit Indians. They forcefully grow the raw materials in India. They imported to the Britain, manufacture them. Again, the final product transporting to the India and sell with Indians, which may usually on the higher prices. If this product were developed in India, which were cheaply available in the market, but due to long distance from Britain, from India to Britain and Britain to India again, the cost of production increases huge. Finally, the prices of that product were high, and the Indian forced to buy that product because Indians did not have other options at that time to buy other product, right? These were the source of exploitation. But over the period of time, on the later stages, Indians charged by different type of taxes. Indians forced to pay the taxes to the Britishers. It was the different kind of taxes in the form of salaries of British employee, salaries of British army, which was used to live in India to run the British government. These included salaries of British army, civil officers, payment of pensions, etc. Thus, the main form of exploitation in India were trade policies with objective of developing colonial pattern of trade, in which India became an exporter of primary product like raw materials and food stuff, and the importer of final product and the manufacturing product. Encouragement of British capital to participate in direct investment in Indian consumer goods industries. Third, encouragement of finance capital in the country through managing agency system for appropriating a major portion of the profit through various malpractices, and forcing India for paying the cost of British administration, and also to finance the wars and expeditions conducted by British government in India. Exploitation through the trade and policies. Various trade policies enforced in India by the East India Company and then by British government resulted in huge drain of wealth from India so as to facilitate the growing British industry with supply of raw materials from India, and also encouraging commercialization of Indian agriculture in order to transform Indian economy into a British colony. Thus, the major trade policies which resulted huge exploitation of Indians were as follows. Number one, colonial exploitation of Indian cultivators by the East India Company through its indigo planters to boost indigo export by compelling the zamindars and the cultivators to go for indigo cultivation. Colonial exploitation of artisans through the agent of East India Company for delivering cotton and silk fabrics at a price much below the market prices. Under that situation, artisans had to work in inhuman conditions like bonded labor. Colonial exploitation through manipulation of import and export duties by British rulers as to destroy the supremacy of the Indian goods, especially cotton and silk fabrics over the British goods, and then to succeed ultimately in penetrating into the Indian market through its machine-made goods. Accordingly, heavy import duties were imposed on Indian goods, excluding raw materials and food stuff, but a very nominal rate of import duties were imposed on British manufacturers into India. Exploitation through export of British capital to India. As you all are aware about the capital, I hope I can imagine that you are able to understand the capital. Let me explain the first what is capital. Capital is the man-made assets which is used for the further production of wealth. You know, student of economics must aware about the capital. Because without capital, we cannot develop any country. Okay. So it is important for the Britisher to export British capital to India, which was the huge source of income for them and a big source of exploitation for Indians. The second form of colonial exploitation of India by British was through investment by exporting British capital to India. The main three reasons for exporting British capital India were development of efficient system of transport and communication, developing public utilities like generation of electricity and a water supply works for exploiting natural resources, and to promote foreign trade through quicker disposal of goods by linking railways with major parts and marketing centers or mandis. The point is clear. Why Britishers were exporting capitals to India? The reason behind was to exploit the natural resources which was abundant in India, to develop the transportation system such as railways and to across the India to transport raw material to one part to another part and from hinterland India to the ports, Bandargah. That was the motive of Britishers to develop India, not for Indians, but themselves. They want to exploit India as much as they can, and they did. Okay. The main field of foreign direct investment into India includes development of infrastructural projects such as railways, roads, communication, transport, ship water works, generation of electricity, promoting mining of coals, petroleum, and development of metallurgical industries, to promote investment in consumer goods industries such as cotton, jute, textile, woolen textile, paper, matches, tobacco, sugar industry, etc. Promoting commercialization of agriculture and undertaking investment in tea industries, coffee and rubber plantation, investment in machine buildings, engineering industries and chemicals, etc. And investment in banking, insurance, trade. British multinationals made all these investments through its subsidiaries. Again, a part of these investments were in the form of loans to British government in India in terms of sterling debt. Thus, the two major forms of British investment in India were take place. First, the private foreign direct investment in mining, mills, and plantation, and sterling loans given to the government in India and public and semi-public organization for undertaking infrastructural and public utilities projects. Estimate of foreign capital. Although various estimates of foreign capital were made, but they suffer from various limitations. Okay. There were some rough estimates. Okay. In 1911, $360 million foreign trade takes place. Right. In 1929, $500. In 1933, it was raised to $1,000. Right. Among these three estimates, the estimates of Findlay Shiraz 1920 and British Associate Chamber of Commerce in 1930 were considered fairly reliable. It was observed that, as per estimates of the Shiraz, the total amount of foreign capital in India was 500 pound million in 1929, and that of British Associate Chamber of Commerce was 1000 million pound, which was about 20% of the total British foreign investment. The Chamber of Commerce estimate revealed that out of the total investment of foreign capital in India, 38% was in the form of sterling debt of government, 50% in companies registered outside but operating in India, and 12% in companies registered in India and the rest. After the Second World War, Indian businessmen earned a huge profit in Indian industry and the businesses, and that enabled them to buy foreign businesses investment in India. As a result, there was a decline in the magnitude of foreign business investment in India. Right. The Reserve Bank of India also made an estimate of foreign investment, and accordingly, on 13th June 1948, published its first census of India foreign liabilities and assets. As per RBI estimates, total foreign business investment in India was to the extent of 302 crore, out of which British investment was 230 crore, that is around 72% of the total investment. British investment in India during pre-independence period thus revealed that British took a lot of interest in developing economic infrastructure for maintaining administration and the promotion of trade. Moreover, the British investment never promoted any basic and heavy industries. Rather than these investments were mostly made consumer goods industries and also for the processing primary produce for its export. Finally, British tried to keep the ownership and the management of its industries in their hands, and Indians were placed in all low level and maintenance job. Okay, I will stop here and I will continue in the next video. Thank you so much.